Hi guys, welcome to Mastermind Blueprint Lesson 1.
Check this out.
Okay. First thing we should do is always mark out the higher time frame zones. How exactly we enter the full plan for entry. Let's start. On the real life market frame is to make our zones more precise. Not just one time frame, but every single time frame. So mark out all your zones. When go enter your zone, wait for 2 to 3 confirmations, then you can enter risk-free, not risk-free, okay, 90% win rate, and boom. Because we also have a trend line breakout as a Confluence to add to our trade. So what you want to do in a trade when you entry is to make your trade even stronger. Simple things: trend line breakout, Confluence. The higher the time frame, the stronger confirmation. Higher time frame zone, confirmation. And that is how you make your trade high risk, medium risk, low risk, and you enter accordingly to the risk of the set. That is my plan to entry. Simple as that. Hi guys, welcome to Mastermind Blueprint Lesson 1. So, all of you have been asking me what my plan is when I trade. And today I'm going to review the full plan on how exactly I enter. As you guys know, we have 4 plans. Plan to entry, plan to SL, plan to TP, and the plan to hold. And if you guys want me to continue this series, make sure you guys comment down below and subscribe. So let's start today's lesson, guys. So first, I'm going to give you an overview on what we should do first for our plan for entry. The first thing we should do is always mark out the higher time frame zones. Higher time frame zones is the first thing you should always do. Secondly, you can go down to lower time frame to mark out the lower time frame zone. So that is the first thing you must always do for your plan to entry. Simple as that. Map out your zones, okay? Now, second thing. What is the second thing you should do, guys? Wait for the 3 confirmations. The moment gold touches your zone, your plan for entry activates, which is the 3 confirmations. 3 C's, which rejection, new SNR form, breakout. And today I'm going to explain all of that. Now, once you have the 3 confirmations, you take an entry. That is where your plan for TP and SL starts which will be explained in the next video. So now, let me show you guys how exactly we mark out the zones, how exactly we enter the full plan for entry. Let's start on the real life market. So I'm going to explain the setup that I took this week. For example, right over here, we are looking at the weekly time frame, which is the higher time frame zone. The first step, which is to mark out the higher time frame zone. For example, here we have a bearish candle, bullish candle, support form. That is our higher time frame zone. Now we have the support form. Let's go to the daily time frame to mark out the lower time frame zones as well. Okay, on the daily time frame, we have a resistance become support. We mark that out. Now let's go to the H4 time frame. Same thing, just mark out every single zone. On the H4 time frame, we have a weekly multi-time frame with the H4 zone. We have the resistance break become support right over here. We have another resistance break become support. So this entire zone is our what, guys? This entire zone is our higher time frame zone and obviously lower time frame zones as well. You can mark it out on H1, M30, whatever you want. But the reason why you mark out on higher time frame and lower time frame is to make our zones more precise. Not just one time frame, but every single time frame. Now we understand that. Let us move to the second step, which is what, guys? Which is when gold enters your zone, what do? You wait for the 3 confirmations to entry. Now, what they go do here, guys? By the way, where they enter, I entered by right over here at 08. Now, why did I enter there and how did I catch 1,200 pips from my plan to entry? It's very simple. First of all, wait for a rejection, right? As you can see right now, we have a rejection of the weekly H4 zone, right? Rejection form. Once we have rejection, let's go to one time frame lower, H1. What they go do on the H1, guys? So we have rejection right over here. What they go do on the H1? Go instantly form a new SNR form right over here. Bearish candle, bullish candle, support form. H4 rejection, H1 new SNR form. We have the 2 confirmations already. Now we can either enter at where, guys? We can either enter at the new SNR form here or at the left shoulder here right over here as we have a breakout, or we can wait for a breakout. For the breakout, we can go to lower time frames to find the breakout, guys. For example, right over here, we already have the 2 confirmations: H4 rejection, H1 new SNR form. Then we go to the M5 time frame. On the M5, we have a very clear breakout. Breakout of what? We break out the resistance right over here. The moment gold broke out, pull back, form a new SNR form, and then started flying. Breakout again, flying and flying and flying, all the way up 1,200 pips. But obviously, the plan for entry is like this. So it's very simple. You have 3 confirmations. First, the rejection, which is the first step. Second step is new SNR form. You can either enter the new SNR form, for example, right over here, new SNR form right over here, new SNR form right over here. We have a QM. You can either enter at the left shoulder here, or you can wait for a breakout on the lower time frame, for example M5. You can wait for a breakout, for example, here on M5. If a breakout already, the moment gold pullback, you can enter at the pullback breakout zone, then you can fly. So you can either enter at the breakout or you can enter at the new SNR form after gold touch your zone. So mark out all your zones. When gold enter your zone, wait for 2 to 3 confirmations, then you can enter risk-free, not risk-free, okay, 90% win rate, and boom, 1,000 pips to the moon. That is my plan to entry. Simple as that. Obviously, you have to pair it with multi-time frame. You have to learn to see confirmations on every single time frame. The higher the time frame, the better the confirmation. But not just that, you can use Confluence with your confirmations. So, first step, mark out the higher time frame zones. Second step, find the 3 confirmations. Third step, you can use Confluence. For example, you have a trend line breakout. That is Confluence. For example, right over here in this trade, what do we have, guys? What do we have? Okay, for example, N5, we can look for Confluence. How? We can look for Confluence, like for example, a trend line breakout right over here. With a trend line breakout, once a trend line breakout happens, we have a Confluence that gold will turn bullish from here because of a small trend line breakout. It is something to add to your trade. For example, we have a breakout, then we mark out the zone. Once we know that gold is going to turn bullish, we can mark out the zone. Okay, we have a breakout zone here, we have a QM here. Okay, maybe gold will touch this QM and continue flying. So we can enter from the QM because we also have a trend line breakout as a Confluence to add to our trade. So what you want to do in a trade when you entry is to make your trade even stronger. Simple things: trend line breakout, Confluence. The higher the time frame, the stronger confirmation. Higher time frame zone, confirmation. And that is how you make your trade high risk, medium risk, low risk, and you enter accordingly to the risk of the setup. And then once you have the confirmations, once you have the Confluence, you can once again wait for confirmations on the lower time frame. For example, right over here, we already have confirmation that gold will fly from here. We have a trend line breakout, we have the third confirmation, the breakout on lower time frame. Now what can we do? We can possibly wait for a new SNR form again on lower time frame. For example, right over here, we have a breakout over here, we can wait for a new SNR form for gold to form, and then now we have a second confirmation on lower time frame. The moment gold touch back the new SNR form, we can possibly enter the new SNR form, or we can enter the lower zone, and gold will start flying. So it is just confirmations on top of confirmations on top of confirmations, so you can make your zones more precise. This is the use of higher time frame, lower time frame, higher time frame confirmations, lower time frame confirmations, and Confluence. And that is how you make your trade perfect. So if you guys have any questions, make sure you guys list them down in my comment section, and be ready for the next video where I'll be explaining the plan for SL, the plan for TP, and the plan to hold. Once you have all these plans, I can guarantee you will become profitable. And obviously, this is just a short version, and soon I'll be doing my personal coaching where I'll be teaching you the more advanced version. So I'll see you guys. Make sure you guys are ready, and make sure you guys subscribe. And that is it for today's video. Santai kawan, and I love all of you.